Okay, there we go. Glide reflection. So that's where we are, again, going to do a translation and then do a reflection. So we're just going to do some examples with this because we've already done both of these activities. We've done a translation, we've done a reflection before. So example number 1, we're going to start with the shape. A is going to be 3, -2. B is going to be 5, -3. And C is going to be 5, -4. And the first instruction is going to be to translate with the instructions x comma y is going to x minus 4, y plus 1. And then the second instruction is going to be reflect over the x-axis. On big ideas, you might also see it written as like reflect it in the x-axis or something like that. It means the same thing. Okay, so just as always, to start these problems, you got to start with drawing a graph. So make yourself a nice coordinate plane. I'm going to go out 5 in each direction. And then go ahead and graph your original shape. So we have point A is over 3 down 2. Make sure you label your points. B is over 5 down 3. And C is over 5 down 4. And remember, the better you space your graph, the better this thing's going to look at the end. I know I don't always space mine exactly perfect, but when you use graphing software and stuff like that, yours will look perfect. So that's good. All right. So there's our initial shape. And the first thing that we want to do is the translation portion of this. So remember, kind of the rule of thumb here, always follow first instruction first. Which I know might seem like, well, duh, why wouldn't I follow the first instruction first? But you'd be surprised. People might look at it and go, oh, reflection is easy. I like that one. I'm going to do that first. And then I'll do the translation maybe. But you want to make sure that you do the first thing first because it won't look the same if you don't. So anyway, following the first instruction first, x minus 4 tells us to go left 4. Y plus 1 is telling us to go up 1. So you can do it that way if you would like to. You could also subtract 4 from each of these x coordinates and add 1 to each of the y coordinates if you want to. That would also work. I'm just going to count moving it left 4 and up 1. You can do it either way. So for point A, moving it left 4 goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 1 puts us right here, and we'll call that A prime at -1, -1. Then for B, we'll do the same thing. We're going to go left 4, up 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1. And you can definitely see that my spacing on here is off. This space is way bigger, so this is going to end up looking a little bit different than it should, but we'll get the idea. And then for C, we do the same thing. Left 1, 2, 3, 4, up, 4, up 1. So there's C prime. Connect the dots there. So again, if you were using graphing software or if your graph looks better than mine, your shapes probably look a little bit more similar to one another. This one looks kind of bigger than this one, but it shouldn't. Anyway, that's our first instruction. The second instruction says to reflect over the x-axis. So here's the x-axis right here. That's the line we're reflecting over. So that's the line that we count the amount of spaces to get to that line, and then we count the same amount of spaces past it and make a new dot. So for point A, I have to count up 1 point to get to my axis of reflection. So then I have to go up one more and make a new dot there. And I'm going to call that A double prime. So A with 2 apostrophes or A with quotes. So that's denoting that that's our next shape. So we went from original A to A prime to A double prime. Then we'll do the same thing with B and C. I'm going to count up 1, 2 to get from B to the axis. So then I go up 1, 2 more to get B double prime. And then we'll do the same thing with C to go up 1, 2, 3 to get there. So 1, 2, 3 past it to get us C double prime. Also, a lot of times if you're doing this on paper, you can just kind of color in your final shape to denote that that's where your last iteration of this lands. And then we'd be done. So kind of our steps here, we graph the original shape, we do the translation, and then we do the reflection. And that's how pretty much all of these are going to go with a glide reflection. Any questions up to this point? Okay, let's do another one, and then we will get the assignment. Today's assignment is going to be very short. I know you're all very bummed about that, but don't worry, there will be more tomorrow. So second example. For this one, point A will be -4, 3. B will be -4, 1. C will be -2, 1. And D will be -2, 3. And so our instructions, instruction number 1 is translate. With the instructions, xy is going to x, comma, y minus 4. And then our second instruction is to reflect over x equals 1. And so we're going to make ourselves a nice graph. On this graph, I'm going to go out to 6 in all the directions. Okay, so I went out to 6 in all directions. At least go out to 6 to the right because you'll need it. And then go ahead and graph your original shape. So -4, 3, -4, 1, -2, 1, -2, 3. And then connect the dots. Notice we get a nice square. So then moving along to the translation portion of this, if you see something where the variable is left alone, like x or y is left alone, that just means don't move it in that direction. So this means we're not going to move it left to right, but we are going to go down 4 for this whole thing. So then go ahead and move your shape down 4. From A, we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, and get A prime. From B, we go down 1, 2, 3, 4 to get B prime. From C, we go down 1, 2, 3, 4 to get C prime. And from D, down 1, 2, 3, 4 to get D prime. And connect the dots. Lastly, we want to locate our line of reflection, x equals 1. Well, we go over to 1 on the x-axis, and we make a straight line in the vertical direction. So there's the line x equals 1, and we are going to reflect the blue shape over that line. So here we go. Starting at A, I'd go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get to that line. So that means I have to go 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that gets me a double prime right there. Then for B, we do the same thing, over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means we have to go over 5 more and put B double prime down. For C, we have to go over 1, 2, 3. So then over 1, 2, 3 more. And then D, we'd also go over 3, and then over 3 more to get D double prime. Once you get a couple of the points on there, you can sometimes just also build the shape off of the others if you already know that you're dealing with a square. For example, you can kind of go, well, if A is here, then B is going to be here, and C and D, and so on. But anyway, that's our last main example for this. If you have questions, feel free to type them in the chat. I'm going to work on posting the homework so we can look at a couple of the problems together. Okay. So these are glide reflections. On the homework, we only have 6 total problems. The first problem is a regular reflection. The second one is a glide reflection. Most of them are glide reflections, but I think there is one more regular reflection just to give us some extra practice with that. Okay, so here we go. If you can open the Big Ideas assignment at the same time as a Google Meet, go for it. If you can't, that's okay. You can just follow along with me. Jumping over to Google Classroom. It should be posted right here. Make sure you log in with Clever and all that wonderful stuff. So we've only got a couple of minutes here. Number 1, I'm going to leave for you guys to do because it's just a regular reflection. Make sure you graph all of the points first and then reflect over the y-axis, which is this one right here. Number 2 is a glide reflection. So we're going to do that one together real quick. And this is a lot like the one we just did in example 2. So graphing first, over 4 up 1, over 7 up 3, and over 6 up 4, and then connecting it back up. Make sure on this one that you click the first point again to connect it. Then this one just says x comma y minus 1. So we're moving this thing down 1. So we go down 1, down 1, down 1, and connect it back up. Then it says to reflect in the y-axis. So here's the y-axis. We're going to take the second shape. So this is where we have to kind of keep things straight in our head. The second shape is this one right here. We're going to take this one and reflect it in the y-axis. So I'm going to go over 4 to get to the y-axis, and then I'll go over 4 more and make a new dot. For this one, we have to go over 7 to get there. So then I go over 7 more and make a new dot. This one we have to go over 6. So then we go over 6 more and make a new dot. And then connect it back up and we should be done. Okay, so there are 6 total homework problems. We've just done one of them together. Feel free to do the other 5 on your own. We will talk about them in class tomorrow, so if there's any that are super confusing, feel free to ask about them in class. Otherwise, it's 10:35, so we are out of here. If you have questions, feel free to stick around. Otherwise, have a wonderful day. No exit ticket for today. See you guys tomorrow.